for our missionaries to the Dominican Republic, if you would come forward at this time. As we do with every mission trip that we take and sponsor, we ask that our participants do a question and answer sermon so you get to hear about their experience and what all was involved. This year is rather different and unique because it was a foreign trip and not domestic. And it was with instead of a community where we went out and fixed up homes and all, this was through the ministry of a Christian school and all that was involved with that, which you're going to hear about in just a few minutes. So there should be enough chairs, and if not, you can sit in the choir loft if you so desire. Okay, here, this one can right in the middle there. Yep. Okay. Very good. All right, is everyone comfy up front? Okay. So in the first chapter of the book of Acts, here, let's just pass some of these around. Hold that for now. Ben, and Delaney. In the first chapter of Acts, Jesus said, "You will be my disciples, my witnesses, in Jerusalem," which is local, in Judea, which is national, in Samaria, which is people who are not like you and maybe you don't like them, and then to the ends of the earth, which is global. So when you hear people say that charity begins at home, that is true. Jesus tells us it does begin at home, Jerusalem, local. But he also tells us it doesn't end there. Hence Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. So Carrie and Julie are going to share with us a little bit about what is the brand or the mission, so to speak, of Freedom Christian School and what they do, which is to love God, love people, live design, and then also to share a little bit concerning what a typical day for all of us looked like when we were there in the Dominican Republic. It should be on.
Good morning. So the whole idea of mission work often is that when missionaries go to third world countries, they go down to plant a church. And the founders of Freedom Christian School wanted to do that in a different way. Rather than planting a church, they decided to plant a school. And that had many reasons behind it, and I won't go into all of that. But one of the things that they decided was that they needed a motto, and their motto would be, love God, love people, live design. And that is basically the motto and the mission of the school. And so they're teaching the children from 3 years old, so they take preschoolers all the way up to high school. And the upcoming school year will be the first graduating class of Freedom Christian School. So this is a huge year for them, upcoming year for them. And so part of that motto is love God. So first and foremost, what they're trying to instill in the children going up through the grade levels is that they love God and they come to know God and have a relationship with God. And then the second part of that motto is to love people. Love people that they live among, love people that are different than them, and just love everyone. And then the third part of the motto is live design. And so what they're trying to teach the children and all of the teams that are coming down there is to live the God-given talents that we are embraced with, that we embrace our talents, that we show those talents in whatever way, shape, or form that could be. And so that is the whole premise of love God, love people, live design. And that is the motto in which they are raising the children up through the grade levels.
Okay, thank you. Julie, you're going to share a little bit about a typical day?
Yeah, so our day would start at 6:30, pretty early for a lot of people. And we would have breakfast, then the kids would come in out of the bâtés, which is the small villages out in the sugarcane fields. They would have English enrichment. So they teach them English through the school year, but they bring them back in the summer so they don't forget. And so then also they can have more of a biblical-based English class then in the mornings. And then we would have lunch, and then we would go out to the bâtés on these buses that are held together by the Holy Spirit, because there's no way the parts could naturally work that way. The roads were terrible, gullies and just rocks everywhere. So the buses got beat up pretty bad, and we have a miracle worker, Rick, who kind of put his time and effort into that. But we would go out to the bâtés, and they would have Bible school, and it was wonderful to see the kids rushing to the buses and rushing to the kids because they wanted to be a part of it. There was a lot of joy in that. But then we would come back in the afternoons, or after we had Bible school, they would go out to the green areas, in that it might be an open field where the horses also roam. So you're kind of stepping over things out there. That's where their cattle and their goats are, and you just kind of play amongst things. It might be the side of what we would think of as a street, but it's just a little stone road, and that's where they play. And then in the evenings, we would have our spiritual enrichment. So it would either be our group as a team, or we would have one as the compound, like everybody involved. So that kind of was our day in a nutshell.
Thank you. And just to help you understand a bit, the bâtés are these small communities that are owned by one of the three major sugarcane companies in the Dominican Republic, and they are just shanty towns. I mean, they do not have clean running water. They do have some electricity, but it's also unreliable. Being in the Holy Land and spending a week in inner city Detroit, back in my seminary days, to have seen poverty, but this really took it to a whole new level of understanding what people just don't have and what we just take for granted. They lack almost all the basic necessities. It is something. So the congregation would like to hear more about their ROI, their return on investment in you, with this mission trip to the Dominican Republic. So let's help them see their investment in you, what that looks like, as we answer the following questions. You took the time to help kids living in poverty in a foreign country. In what ways has this mission trip made a difference in the lives of the children you were with, and how will your life and faith be different after being with these children for a week? Not everybody at once.
My takeaway from these children is, like Pastor said, they're so poverty stricken. They have nothing, but yet they're happy. I mean, it's amazing to see these children happy. And when we're out in the bâtés and they were having Bible school, it was a Spanish-speaking lesson, and they spoke in Spanish. But as Americans, I don't hardly know a lick of Spanish, but I got the gist. And they would sing songs, and these kids from all ages would sing and scream and yell these songs while they're singing them, and they would act out the motions. And Americans are just so, I don't know what word to use, distracted by objects that we don't get it. So these children taught me a lot about my faith because of what they don't have. They are poverty in money. We are poverty-stricken in our faith.
Lisa, you were wanting to?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that on? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Didn't sound like it was on. So my story is, which I want to make sure no one else is going to talk about, Alfredo. Were you planning on talking about Alfredo? You were? Okay. So we had the fifth graders, which the kids there are just like, I work in the schools. The kids there are just like the kids here. We had some sassy girls in our group. I mean, they were really, really sassy. And they did touch our hearts. By the end of the week, they were giving us hugs. But really what made it impact was this boy named Alfredo. He was a helper in our group. And we all thought he was 20-something, that he was just there, but come to find out, he's actually going to be a senior. So he's going to be one of the children that is going to be the first kids to graduate from Freedom. And they are only required to go to school till up to 8th grade there. After that, you go work in the sugarcane fields. That's just what they do. And I'm still blown away. We were coming back one day and we actually got to see workers in the fields. And yes, they still use huge machetes that I can't even believe they carry, because if they're going to cut their leg off, they are that sharp. So that's normally what the students do. Well, he is going to be a senior, and Christine had asked him if his parents were, or if his family was excited that he was actually going to graduate, because their graduation rate is 15% in there. And he said, well, some of my family knows, but some of my family doesn't. And that's sad, because to finish school and go on to high school, it's looked down upon if you don't go out and work for the family. So I don't know, that really touched me, because, I work in the schools, but I think we take our education for granted, because that's what gets you on in life. And just to see them struggle and to go into the bates and see that some of them don't even have a front door, and their houses are 9x9s, and to think about they make a wage of how much they cut that day. So their weekly wage is $60 to $70. And I told the story at the first service. When we got home, I needed laundry detergent and toilet paper, just regular things. And just that trip was $67 at Dollar General, and that's what they make in a week. And I didn't even buy any food. So it just kind of makes you put in perspective what we take for granted.
Thank you. Who else would like to share? How about some of our youth on this first question? Anybody? Don't be shy. You weren't shy on the trip, so don't be shy now.
I wanted to talk about some of my experience in terms of being in the classroom. And I teach at a school where we have a lot of refugees, so Burmese mostly. And so for me, it was eye-opening to go to the VBS each day and to, watch the interactions of the students, because the kids, like we all agree, they still act like kids. Like they still have the same personalities and the same behaviors, whether they're here in the United States or in the Dominican Republic, which was amazing to see, and to see the interactions. But for me, it was eye-opening to be in a classroom where I didn't speak the language. So, you got the gist of what they were saying, but you were missing a lot of parts. So for me, it was really eye-opening to see what my students are going through, because a lot of my students don't speak English, and I'm teaching in English. And so to get a feel for how they are going to feel, and maybe even get a feel for where they're coming from, because they're coming from a third world country as well. So it was really eye-opening to have that experience. It was also eye-opening to see my family interact, see how Allison and Madeline interacted with the kids. And, Allison formed some really great relationships. And didn't you get like a little card from one of the girls? Yeah, she got a rose charm, which was so amazing. So to see them was just truly amazing.
Okay. Anyone else? I guess we move on to the second question then. And that is, apart from fishing for tarantulas and holding them, and this is one of the great pastimes of missionary kids. I mean, if you thought pastor kids were different, missionary kids can be really different. The way this works with fishing for tarantulas, you go out at night, you find a tarantula hole in the ground, you have a stick, a piece of string, and you put like a little critter or insect on the end of it, and you are literally fishing for a tarantula. Comes up out of the hole and gotcha. And so this is what our group got to experience, is tarantulas and then holding them. So apart from that, as being memorable, what is one memorable moment from this mission trip in the Dominican Republic you will carry with you for the rest of your life? Let's hear from some of our young people. Alice.
I got it, guys.
So my mom was talking about the connections, and the connection I made with a girl, her name was Aurora, and she was in 5th grade, and she's the one that gave me the rose charm. She's super sweet. I really liked her. But I was talking about her because back in America, I thought I just didn't like mangoes, and I only liked them in those like sugary fruit cups because we really like sugar here for some reason. And I tried one in the Dominican. They're really good, guys. It was like it was so good. And I was talking about it with Aurora, and she just opened her backpack and just gave me a mango. I'm like, oh. And so I shared it with my family, my dad, because he didn't get to try a mango, because the girls, whenever they had like a lunch, not lunch, but like a meal, the women always go first, and we always got the good fruit, and the guys just had the bad fruit. But it was nice that like they don't have much, and yet they still gave me a mango, because I was talking about how much I liked them here.
Who else would like to thank you? Thank you, Allie. Who else would like to share a memorable moment? Abby?
So Monday, I started out the day with first graders, which were really rowdy and a lot to deal with. So the next day, I was at the 5th graders, and I did not have as good an experience with you. They all hated me because I made them speak English and wouldn't let them talk in Spanish. So the 3rd day, I was like, we'll try 2nd grade. And like the first girl I met, she's like, what's your name? And I tell her Abby, and she's like, Abigail? I was like, yes. And the rest of the day, she's like, my Abigail. When anyone come up to me, she'd be like, no, that's my Abigail. So I knew when I met her, I was like, okay, this is where I'm staying the rest of the week. And that was my favorite memory of her just going, my Abigail for the rest of the week.
Thanks, Abby. Elizabeth? You need to hold the microphone up.
I don't remember what day it was.
That's okay.
So, on Monday, I went to Lima because it's spelled like Lima, and I was like, there's a place in Ohio like that. I'm gonna go there. And while we were there, like playing out in the field, a girl went up to me, and like she spoke to me in English, and that's when I found out she went to Freedom, and she was in 5th grade. And then later that night, I was kind of like in between whether I should go back, because I started with Abby in 1st grade. Or 5th grade, but 1st grade was filled up, so I was like, I'll just go with 5th grade. And unlike Abby, I had a good experience. So I stayed there the entire week, and I kind of like connected with her, and then some of the other little kids. But on Wednesday and I think Thursday, Wednesday she came up me with like this little envelope that she made out of paper. And then there was our memory verse that we were learning in English. And then she made like a picture of us and like was like, I love you, and then like best friends. And I really appreciated that because like she's a 5th grader and like English is her 2nd language. So like it would be much easier for her to write it in Spanish, but she didn't. And then Thursday, she made me a little like painted picture of like leaves and stuff, and yeah, I liked it a lot.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Who else would like to share a memorable moment? Okay, Mark?
I've kind of got 2 of them because I could not make up my mind on which one to use. But it really struck me what this trip in school was about on Monday morning as we were getting ready to come out and have breakfast. Kind of like what they said, the kids would come off the bus, start going to the classrooms to get breakfast in their uniforms, which is very nice, but they were in single file, and it looked like they were on a mission. It was a mission to learn more about the English language, but also a mission to learn more about Jesus himself. And yes, they're not the same color as we are, but if you listen to the song of Jesus loves the little children, red, yellow, black, and white, they are precious in his sight. He created us, and that just stuck with me that they're there for one reason, and that's to learn more about the Lord himself. And the other one was on Thursday. I finally got to go on the bates on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We went to La Cabana on Thursday. And after we had the lessons in the little church that they had, which they treat these things like they're their cathedrals. From what I could tell, they had them locked up unless they were going to be used. But as we were in the field playing, there were a couple of them that they weren't going to give in to each other. One was determined he was going to get it his way, and another one was determined, no, you're going to go by the rules. And they're speaking in Spanish. And there were a couple guys from Indiana that was around, and we kept looking at each other like, I can't understand a word they're saying. But I never saw one of them get aggressive with each other. They just weren't going to let each other have it. And apparently the guy finally came up with this idea, kickball, but he couldn't say it in English, so he was motioning at home plate, kicking the ball, Dominicans versus Americans. And it sounded like a good idea, so we got into it real quick. Well, it's coming into the long story short on that one, there's more Dominicans than there are Americans. So we had some Dominicans on our team, but it was fun. We played for 3 innings, I think it was. It was a blast. We learned how to say a few words in Spanish, and it just changed the way the whole afternoon was going, in my opinion.
I have one.
Stephanie?
I have 2. Just listening to everybody talk, there was a place that God wanted each of us. And, most of us started in a grade, 1st grade, 3rd grade, whatever it was, and didn't have the experience that we were thinking we would have. So we switched grades. And by the end of the week, we had all landed in exactly the classroom that God wanted us in to make those relationships. And you heard it in almost everybody's story that, they switched grades. Mine was I started in 3rd grade, and starting with good morning, got scowled at, and the rest of the day, the stink eye was like, if daggers could come out of this little girl's eye, they would have. I don't know what I did to her, but she did not want me telling her good morning. But I ended up landing in 4th grade and made great relationships with a couple of the girls. It was so heartwarming, and like many of them said, these kids have nothing, and they go home, and with a piece of notebook paper, they'll make pictures for us and write, Jesus loves you, or I love you, and make them in envelopes and hand them out. And it's just so touching that they're thinking of us as we're thinking of them as well. It's just 1 week that we get to spend with them, but I think all of us will carry that forever in our hearts. And then the other thing that I think I'll carry with me forever is what Rick said, the joy on their faces. I'm one to kind of be a negative Nelly or complain a lot, as my daughter reminds me sometimes. But I definitely took away after being there with that week that I have nothing to complain over. Even on my worst day, I have nothing to complain over. If those kids can show up coming from nothing, not even running water, to come into school with a smile on their face that's genuine and just, it's contagious. It made us all smile. And so forever, I will close my eyes and see their little faces smiling back.
For me, I'm going to go a different way. One of my favorite things was in the evening, the missionaries would make themselves available, and you could have one-on-one conversations or some group conversations with them. And those missionaries are truly living out their faith in a way that everybody should aspire to. It was amazing. Like the school, you can see the ends of it. They're not finished. There's a big open spot there. And so we ask them, like, what's the plan for that? And they're like, we don't know. We have a bunch of ideas, but we're just waiting on God. God will tell us what to do with that when he's ready, when it's the right time. And that's just everything. That's how they live out their life. It's completely what God tells them. When God tells them, then they know what to do. And it's not that they're trying to make up this stuff themselves. They're really listening for God, discerning what he's wanting them, and living that out. And some of them are like, it's really hard down here. You miss being back in the States. You just everything that you don't have, and it's a struggle. But this is where God wants me right now, so I'm here. So was so amazing and so powerful, just how they live out their faith like that. And it's something all of us should strive for.
Anyone else? Memorable moment? Kevin? No? Okay. Maddie?
One of my favorite memories there on the first day, I was with 3rd grade. Stephanie, the kid that Stephanie the daggers. It's too early. The kid that was giving Stephanie daggers, I had a really long skirt on. That was like a full circle skirt. I was wearing that out in the sun, and then that one kid and then another girl who were hiding behind my skirt. That was one of my favorite memories. There's another one. I had two friends, Avery and Veronica. Veronica gave me a little card. It had like balloons, hearts, dots with like paint marker, and I was confused, and I was like, for me? And she went, yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Delaney.
So in the Lima Bate, I had this one.
A little louder, Delaney, a little closer.
In the Lima Bate, I had this one little boy. He was blowing bubbles with me, and at one point he kept trying to like take the bubbles from me, but we weren't supposed to give him the bubbles, so I was like trying to tell him no. And then to like distract me, I think he tried to take my glasses off my face. So then I told him, no, you can't have either. So then this little boy pours the bubbles down my leg and then goes for my glasses again. And I pick up the bubbles and I shove my glasses back on my face, and I was like, no, you're done with the bubbles now. And he goes marching away. He was like super mad at me. And then this other little boy comes up, and then he was like, can I do the bubbles? And I was like, why not? Half of them are gone. And they're just down my leg. And like that just kind of was one memory that I kept thinking of.
Okay. I think if I can share, as pastor, and to be in an intensive week, with 24 folks from the congregation, that was a delight. I mean, I was really impressed. They put up with me and my corny jokes and offbeat behavior sometimes, and most of the time actually they did. And I was really impressed that they made sure I had a ticket to come home. That was very good. So, but also going out, two things. One is going out into the bates, these company-owned little towns, and just being able to spend time with those kids, playing baseball with them. And I mean, baseball is huge. And a lot of these kids hope that they can make it to the major leagues and come to this country someday. I mean, that is part of their hope and aspiration. But also the one, in addition to that, as they have, the kids witnessed to us in their own particular way, made such a profound impression on us. So one of the practices that happened when we were out at the bates, and there were 3 different ones that our church and the other 2 churches would visit every day in an afternoon. And during the presentation time of a Bible lesson in Spanish and all, one of the occurrences was to share a testimony. And they had a translator translate from English into Spanish so that the kids could hear why a particular person believed in the Lord. And it just, as a pastor, it just did me so proud, because so many of our youth and a number of our adults did this. Now, we're talking Lutherans giving a testimony. I mean, talk about breaking through the glass ceiling. And as a pastor, I can't say enough, because you hear me say so often about being the hands and feet of Jesus and telling our story and giving our 30-second elevator speech or faith and all those type of things. And I was able to hear some of them and then heard about the other ones that I did not get to experience. And for me, that was just a phenomenal thing, because then as that experience in the Dominican Republic, we also bring that home into our own country, because our own country is also an incredible mission field that needs to hear about the Lord as well. Anyone else on a memorable moment? Reagan. Microphone to Reagan, please. And then we'll get on to our final question.
Yeah, I was kind of holding out to go last on this question because it kind of leads into the next one. So I'll just start with, would I go back again? Yes, absolutely. I said this at the first service. Freedom is like my home away from home. With the missionaries to kids, it truly is. Their culture is just, it feels like home to me in a lot of ways. one of the things that is a very memorable moment that is very inspiring and encouraging to me as a young adult in my faith was a lot of the conversations I had with one of the missionaries, Kurt. I believe Jason also had a lot of conversations with Kurt about just different topics. He was very knowledgeable. He's going to seminary currently. And something I found out about him, I've known him for going on 4 years, is that he was raised Lutheran. And while Freedom is a non-denominational organization, he made a really inspiring phrase about how he hopes in the future more denominations go to Freedom because, as in the Bible, it mentions all tribes worshiping God and all people worshiping God and coming together. And so I thought that was very inspiring to hear a missionary there say that he hopes in the future more denominations attend Freedom and more people come together of all walks of life, of all denominations, of all faiths, of Jesus to come and worship him and to do his work in the Dominican at Freedom. So I thought that was very inspiring. And to kind of go off of that also, he said he left us all at the very last night that we had a team teaching, like a little sermon. He left us all with kind of the mission of creating like a SMART goal in our faith, something very achievable, something we could do to keep on growing in relationship with Jesus. And that something else he had mentioned was everyone needs to go find somebody to bring closer to Jesus through your design, your gifts and talents that God has given you. Like his example was weightlifting. Like he might find a buddy who is also into that and disciple them through weightlifting and bring glory to God through that. And it made me think about my own experience at Freedom and how I used to be a frequent solo person going to Freedom, and I brought my mom with me, and so I doubled, just me and my mom, and then my mom and Julie and everybody here at St. Mark's as well, like did times 7, right? Like we not only brought 2 people, but now 25 people, and that is just amazing, and that is the good works of the church, of the Lord, his faithfulness, and it's also very inspiring, like as I sit here and I listened, oh my goodness, I get so emotional, and I listen to all these youth, and we got to see them grow that week, like just tremendously grow closer to the Lord, and to see the adults of our church as well open up and be vulnerable in their faith and grow, and then now to pour that love and joy and faithfulness into you guys who also supported us is just amazing, and to see that his word just continue to spread has been really, really cool. So would I go again? Yes, and I hope that more people of St. Mark's can go and experience the work of God at Freedom and in the Dominican to all of those people.
Thank you, Reagan. Our third and final question is this, as we wrap things up for today. If a mission trip like this one would become available in the future, would you go? And if so, why? Who would like to share? Kevin?
I would like to go again just because I wanted to do construction at first, but then I realized I was going to paint, and I hate painting, so I switched over to classrooms, but I would like to go and actually do the construction part because I kind of missed out on that, so.
Okay. Who else? Monica?
Is this on?
Yes,
okay.
It is.
Okay, so to start out with, my experience was not exactly like everybody else's. Unfortunately, I was sick so we got there Saturday afternoon, probably about 1 o'clock or so, Saturday night. I woke up vomiting, and I was sick until at least Wednesday evening is when I finally was able to start participating in things. It was rough. And then Thursday, I got to do, I think, the opening. Before that, I had laid in my bed with the door open and watched in the all-purpose area when they had their opening, when they were singing and they raised the flag and these kids all sang their national anthem. And I got to watch that from a distance, but then Thursday morning I finally got to be with the kids and experience that, and I took a few pictures. Yeah, so, but then the rest of the day, I still pretty much stayed back in the dorm and laid down most of the day. Friday afternoon I finally got to go out to one of the batays. And, you know, like everybody else said, it was just amazing. These kids who have nothing, their homes are so small and just kind of put together. And something else I noticed too, they don't have running water, but I thought these kids were all amazingly clean, and their clothes were amazingly clean. And for them to not even have running water, I found that really interesting. But bottom line, given the opportunity, yes, I would definitely go again and pray that I didn't get sick this time and get to experience what everybody else got to. I did get to, like I said, I got to experience a little. I probably took about 800 pictures instead of 8,000 over the week, so that may be a good thing. And I'm gonna put them on Shutterfly. I'll either share the link or I will print some and have them in an album here so that you can see all of the different things that these guys were able to experience. It was wonderful. Yeah, I'd do it again.
Thank you, Monica. Anyone else? Who else would like to share?
I'll go.
Lisa?
No, go ahead.
Elizabeth?
Okay, so the youth, like a couple of them, experienced both the through the group mission, and then this one. And I like both, but like they're very different. Like, so with group mission, that's mainly just working and building something or painting or just making the people's lives better, because in any other circumstance, they wouldn't be able to afford it. And then for this one, I don't know, I feel like that one's more eye-opening for me because it made me realize that like it kind of humbled me. In some aspects, like everybody's been saying, like that place is very poverty-stricken, and they're just also happy. And I don't know, it's just really eye-opening, so I would do that again.
Okay. Lisa?
Yes, I would go again. This trip was very humbling because it just teaches you what you need to be thankful for. But I just have to joke, yes, Monica was sick, and then it just kind of snowballed, and every day we were like, who's going to get hit with something? I won't relay what happened, but yes, every day it seemed like somebody was going down with something.
I'll just say it. We had Monica got sick. We had two ladies who had been going through medical treatments, and they hung in there. One of our guys re-injured a knee and ended up being on crutches, and another one was just a klutz and injured playing kickball.
Yes.
Kickball, yes, kickball. And but they hobbled through the week. They toughed it out. I mean, really, and just incredible faith what you see up here, and incredible witness. So.
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
continue,
you're fine.
please.
I was just going to say, you would think that with this size of a group, that by the end of the week we'd be like, oh, thank goodness this is over, because, I mean, we all lived together pretty much. But we had the best time together. We really did. Even when we had our alone time or our free time, we were together as a group playing games. We had a really good time, and I am just very thankful that I got to experience this with my daughter and with Pastor being his last mission trip. So that was very special to me, and I thank you all for that. And I think probably everyone feels that way.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Julie?
Yeah, there were several of us that said, yeah, we would move here in a heartbeat. However, you know, you're there and you're doing God's work, and you're out there in what you think you're helping them. But God is using the whole experience. We as Lutherans tend to be a little closed in our faith. And this is a way that He can get to us. It's like He brings out, He shows us how we are to be used. It was a rough week. But he showed us that we really needed to be there.
All right, take your time.
What we gave them, they turned it around and gave us tenfold. And that's what we needed to bring back into our community. Because he showed us that there are people among our community that need what we learned, that need the helping hand, but we can do it in our own way. You know, that's that whole thing about our design. He's got a plan designed for us, and we sometimes have to get that tapped into before we are willing to listen and grow our own faith. And yes, to see these kids and these adults, just the shell just opened up, and you saw them blossom. And you know, you get there at first and it's so hot. Oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? Oh my God, that's a cockroach.
Ants in my bed.
And by the end of the week, you're just like, stop. You know, it's like you put aside all the clutter in your life, whether it's emotional, whether it's just everything that surrounds you and that keeps you from being who God wants you to be. And it just opens you up and makes you want to do better. So.
Hey, we're going to need to close this out, so anyone who hasn't spoken yet? Ben, anything? No?
Sorry, that was a little inside joke, I guess. I guess my biggest takeaway, kind of on the last question there, would I go back? One, absolutely, on one condition. I would want everybody that's up here with me to come back with me again. That is probably the biggest thing that I took away. If some of you guys that are up here saying, who is this guy? We usually sit up there in the balcony. That's when we first started coming here, that's where we sat to kind of get a feel for things, and that's just kind of where we stayed. So we've been kind of, we're waving to our balcony friends up there. So I didn't know a lot of these people. So Jason and Rick, I've met through the Brothers and Brews thing. If you haven't participated in that, you're again all welcome to do that. We have a great time. But everybody else, it was kind of new, aside from some of Allison's friends and things. So being able to, one, we all, learned a lot about our faith on that trip. But getting to know everybody up here was tremendous. Getting to know more of their backstory and hearing some of their testimonies and things. Abby made me cry, and that's kind of hard to do if you, as my kids know. Her story was amazing. But a couple things. One, we grew our faith in God, grew our faith in each other. My faith in this church grew through this trip, just the future of it with the kids that are here. And also my faith in the next generation, seeing the work of the kids that were with us as well as with the other two groups. We were slammed in our dorm, and I'm not sure if there's pictures of it or not when we go through the videos. Our dorm room was 12 bunk beds. There's 24 people in there. Everyone was full, and it was crowded, and people from different communities, but all of them were fantastic. And just to see God's work in those kids that came with us, along with their youth leaders, Monty, and getting to know him a little bit was a true blessing. So absolutely, I would go as long as everybody up here comes, and hopefully some of you as well.
Thank you, Ben. That's a great way to wrap things up here. We do have a brief video we want to share, and so just let me see if I can bring that up. There we go. Very good.
choices I regret. 2 years ago at church camp during the candlelight service, I felt God's presence like never before. As I placed my candle on the altar, the weight of my past lifted. That night, I surrendered my life to Him. My time at Freedom was very memorable. I met these amazing kids named Nicolina and Longoni. They completely stole my heart. During the school day, I was with the 4th graders on Snow Lake. They are really well behaved, and you can tell that they are glad to be at school. I'm so glad that I got to make an impact on these kids' life and their spiritual journey. The motto of Freedom is to love God, love people, and live design. Loving God is praying or even just reading your Bible. Loving people is showing God's love to others and being kind to others and showing them the golden rule. And living design is living the design that God has given to us. That means that if you're artistic, you paint for God, or if you're athletic, you play sports for God. In conclusion, the work that I did at Freedom was impactful for me and the children that I was with this week. I thank the Lord that I got to go to Freedom and change the kids' lives in so many ways.
People of God, thank you for investing in these 25 members of your congregation. The return on your investment you will be seeing for years to come. And for you to take time out of your schedules and vacations and so forth, I just can't say enough. And I am very impressed with each and every one of you. I'm very proud and truly inspired. Please give them a warm St. Mark's thank you.